Hi there, Zach Barron here with some more A+ labs. The next couple here are about troubleshooting network connectivity problems. So we've got our network here with a router and a guest access point with a switch and Ethernet connection and another wireless access point. For this particular scenario, a user on the guest network is reporting that their internet is not working. You See, they have a weak signal initially and move the laptop closer to the access point. The signal gets better. Um, However, when you try and open up a website, it's either slow or not working at all. So, to rule out a problem with the router or wireless internet service, you decide to go to a wired connection and try to open a website using Ethernet, which it works just fine. Um, so, problems not with the router or the internet service. So, we need to check our wireless configurations. Going back over to our guest laptop, we'll open our network's Wi-Fi settings. And oops, oh, I'm not full screen anymore, am I? That's annoying. There we go. Well, look at this. Our default gateway is 10.254.01. Identity is guest. Automatic DHCP. The configuration is not different than the intended configuration. This is the correct thing. So it's not misconfigured. We'll open up a terminal and try and ping our gateway using ping 10.254.0.1 minus C24 will send 24 packets, and you'll see that once it finishes that there will be significant packet loss um, and slow round trip times. Um, And down here it says these values seem high, but for an accurate diagnosis, we should compare them to a baseline. Unfortunately, we don't have any baseline performance data. However, we can compare it to the same probe sent from another wireless laptop over the wired network. So we'll open up, um, we'll open up PC1, get a terminal, and run the same probe from our wired connection. And while it's doing that, I'm going to open up a console for our other laptop connected to access point 1 and run the same ping and see how it goes. So let's check our wired connection. Should be wrapping up pretty soon. 0% packet loss here. Our guest one had, 62.5% packet loss. Our other laptop hasn't quite finished yet, but is going slowly. Um, there it goes, 70% packet loss. So, you can see that both laptops have equally inferior performance and reliability compared to our wired connection. Um, in laptop 2, we're going to run WaveMon, which is our wireless analyzer. And we're going to see down here where our signal level is minus 60 dBm. Minus 60. All right, once you have diagnosed the problem, you must establish a plan of action to resolve the problem and implement the solution. So, um, After some investigation, it turns out that some motorized mechanical equipment has been installed in the foyer for a guest event. Click Remediate to remove the source of interference, and you can see that the signal level gets much better once you remove that. All right. So, next steps in the troubleshooting process is to verify full system functionality. So, and we've verified that the signal is better with our network analyzer. So we'll quit out of WaveMon and run the same ping that we did earlier. And then we'll go back over here. Oh, the website's already loaded for us. So just to be sure, we'll try the CompTIA.org one also. And yes, only 4% packet loss, only one packet loss. Minimal, much better than it was before. Um, yes. All right, and CompTIA loads. So, this lab doesn't include this part, but the final step of the troubleshooting process is to document findings, actions, and outcomes. And we have a couple comprehension questions here. The first step in the CompTIA troubleshooting model is to identify the problem. Uh, which of the following troubleshooting stages are change control constraints due to corporate policies and procedures most important? Is establishing a plan of action. Yeah. Um, and the worst signal strength as these negative numbers get bigger, the signal is worse. So that's it for this one, and we'll do another little assisted troubleshooting lab next. Okay, so this next network connectivity lab. The scenario is you go to a work from home employee's house to configure his router. Another technician had performed a firmware upgrade on the day before, but the none of the household's devices seem to be working. You check the router and see that the interfaces are in an up state, and you check the cables to the PC, and they have good cables. Uh, but despite having good cables, the internet is not working. So we'll check our network settings real quick. Oops, come on. So wired settings, and check this cog, and look over wired connection, automatic DHCP, right? Cancel, open up Firefox, and try to browse to Never SSL, and it fails. So, next step is we're going to pull out the laptop and see if that one is configured and whether they're able to access the internet as well. Okay, so we'll check here. It is also configured with DHCP, automatic addressing, and yet we still can't access the internet. So since both of these are configured with DHCP, but they're not able to access, the cabling is not the issue. You're going to assume that there's a problem with the router service being misconfigured. So we're going to go over to back to our PC, wherever that is. Go to a PC, configure a static IP address, and then open our router interface. So you see our wired network, it's already been toggled off. So we're going to go to our settings, IPv4, and switch it to manual, putting in 192.168.1.201 for our static address, and net mask of 24. Hit apply, and it's already toggled on. So we're going to open Firefox and put in our gateway IP address to open up our router interface. The password is password. We're going to go to network interfaces and check out the configurations here. So our LAN is set to a static address. So we open up, go over to DHCP and uncheck this one to enable a DHCP server. Hit save, save and apply. And then log out and close the browser. Next up, we're going to verify full system functionality by whoops. We're going to turn this off, change our settings back to DHCP, and then turn it back on again. You see our network has come back on. We'll open a terminal and run a ping to the default router. There we go, 0% packet loss, it's working fine. Open up Firefox and navigate to Never SSL. Which does work. Go over to the laptop and make sure that those are also working. I don't think I changed the IP for the laptop, did I? Yeah. So we'll open up the console, run it. Where's the ping thing? There we go. Run a ping of our gateway, which works. Open up Firefox and navigate to Never SSL, and it should work just fine, as it does. The final step in the troubleshooting process: document the findings, actions, and outcomes. We're not able to do this in the current lab environment, etc., etc. So, we've got some questions here. Oh, there it goes. We've got some questions here. So, thinking about the support technician who upgraded the firmware previously, completion of which of the following troubleshooting model steps could have avoided the need for a follow-up support case? Verify full system functionality. So, clearly the previous guy that worked on this network did not do that step. What action did the network manager service running on the PC perform when the adapter could not be activated? When it couldn't be activated, it disabled the wired adapter. And then the command we used to test connectivity between the computer and the default gateway was, of course, ping 192.168.1.1 minus C4 sends 4 packets. So that's it for this one. Next up, we have 2 applied labs. Okay, this one is a applied lab. It does not have the instructions there, so you have to run through your own troubleshooting for this one. The scenario here is that your customers reported that none of the devices on the home network are able to access the internet. Um, this is the expected configuration documentation. The home network is served by a single open WRT router appliance. The router should obtain its WAN address information from an upstream DHCP server. The local network uses the subnet 192.168.10/24, and the router's static IP is 192.168.11. All client hosts should use DHCP to obtain a local network address. To troubleshoot this, we can see we are connected to a wired network. So let's check our settings first. We are uh, we are using automatic DHCP addressing for the IP address, so that is correct. We'll open up a console and try to ping our gateway, and that is working correctly. Open up Firefox, see if we can navigate to a website. It is not working, so there is no internet, but we're able to ping the gateway. We can navigate to the router interface using our DHCP automatic IP address. So that rules out a problem with the local area network. So we need to examine the WAN settings. Man, where's the password thing? Password is password. Log in. So we're going to look at our interfaces and scroll down to our WAN settings. Let's check that out. Okay. All right. So we need DHCP on our WAN interface. And we're going to hit save. Save and apply. And then come back over to Firefox and see if oops, this is Firefox. What am I doing? See if we can go to example.com. And it works. This domain is for use in illustrative examples and documents you may use as blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we've confirmed that we can now access the internet. So I'll log out of here. Close that. Give it a couple seconds because sometimes the score button doesn't actually confirm that you have internet even though you can see that it's working. Was the issue caused by a deviation from any of the expected configuration statements? The network was correctly configured. The hosts were using DHCP to access, but the router appliance was not getting its address information from an upstream DHCP server. It was set to a static address. So that's why there was no internet in this instant. Yes, okay. Um, Coming down here, true or false, the internet connection type underlying the WAN DSL cable cellular would have had no impact on problem identification or resolution. That's true. Any type of connection would have had the same problem because it was misconfigured with static instead of DHCP. So, which troubleshooting step could not be performed? Document the findings, actions, and outcomes. which you can do yourself. All right, and then we'll go ahead and click score and see if it actually works this time. It fails about half the time, it seems like. Oh well, you can see that we've accessed the internet over here anyway. So, one more applied, there it goes. Huzzah. One more applied lab left, and that will wrap up our network troubleshooting section. All right, this is our final network connectivity lab. Uh, this one's my favorite. It says, "Please help me. My PC can't connect. I'm on my laptop, and that's okay, but I need to get my PC connected for a client meeting. Please help." So suppose you go over to this person's machine and see that their PC is not connected to a network. And so, of course, your first part of troubleshooting is to make sure that it's physically connected. So you go back here, which is represented by this part, and see that it's not plugged in. Or maybe in this scenario, it's plugged in, but it has a bad cable. Either way, you come over here and you connect to the local area network, and you see the network thing pop up. And just to make sure that it still works, we're going to open up Firefox and navigate to example.com. And congratulations, you plugged in a person's computer for them, and it now works. Um, and so it's just a reminder, like it says, don't overlook the obvious. Um, make sure everything's plugged in. Make sure it's turned on. You know, it's not always a complex scenario where you have to go digging through router settings and stuff. Sometimes it's just not plugged in. So that wraps up our network scenarios. Hope this was helpful and or enjoyable. I'll see y'all next time.